Hi, this is Shirley Solis with ShirleySolis.com. Welcome. Today is day 7 of the Live Life with Flavor Challenge, and it's Timely Parenting Tuesday. Today I'm going to tell you about something that's a little bit controversial when it comes to parenting, but it's definitely something that I've learned over many years of parenting, and I have learned that it works and it helps to raise more responsible children. So I'm going to tell you a little story that happened this week to us. On Monday, on Labor Day, over the holiday, we decided to go to the beach with a bunch of friends, and we had an absolutely great time. Now, you know that we are in the peak of summer, and it is very hot outside, and the sun is just beaming as bright as it can. So sunburn and the effects on the skin can be pretty dangerous and it could cause a serious burn. Well, it turns out that when we went out there, we told one of our younger children to put on sunscreen. And the reply was, "Mom, I really don't want to." Now, I understand because it could be pretty annoying to be a young child and to not have, to have your mom like putting on that lotion in your face, and maybe it burns your eyes or whatever. So the interesting thing is this particular child, and I'm going to say he's around the age of 7, because see, the thing is, this particular principle that I'm going to share with you is very different with each child based on their age. So you have to use your caution and you have to use wisdom when you apply this principle that I'm going to tell you. So this particular child said he didn't want to put the sunscreen on, to which I reminded him that the last time he hadn't put sunscreen on, because we forgot, he had gotten seriously burned. And he said, "Well, I really don't care." I said, "Okay." So I could have taken that as rebellion, which it wasn't really rebellion against me. It was more like he was willing to live out a consequence to a specific lack of action. So he could have put on the sunscreen and then he was going to not get burned, or he had to deal with mom putting this thing on his face and him not liking it, and he wasn't going to get burned. But apparently his choice was to less of an immediate resolution. Like, I'd rather deal with the burn later than to have to deal with my mom putting this on. I know a lot of parents probably would disagree. In fact, some of my friends there disagreed because they didn't think it was right that he had the option to choose. But what we've learned, what Gus and I have learned about raising children, is that as soon as they have a certain level of maturity, you have to give them the option to begin to choose, because life takes care of giving our children consequences. So I made it very clear that this was his choice and that he would probably get burned, and that we just couldn't avoid that in the evening, that he was going to have pain, and he still chose that. So sure enough, at the end of the day, there was that pain associated with the burn. And so we had some very deep conversations, deep at the age of 7. And the question was, "Son, what would you have done different?" And he said, "Well, I would have put the lotion on." And then we said, "Well, remember, you already had burned one previous time. How come you didn't remember?" And he said, "Well, I just didn't, but this time I know that I'll remember." So what it did to him is that burn caused an anchor to him to remember next time, and we'll remind him again. And some people just need to learn that way. But I think what Gus and I are trying to do through that, and we've been in that same scenario several times with different ages of our children, where we ask them to make a choice, and maybe they make a choice that would not be the same choice that we make. And it's very tough to sit back and watch as a parent while they're making that choice. But you know what? It teaches them while you're still there, because so many parents avoid teaching our children or teaching them to live out a consequence, because it's painful to the child and it's painful to us, and we never want to experience pain ourselves. But it's actually the best thing, because there's nothing better for a child to fail while he's still being taken care of by you. In other words, you're still there to mentor him and to love him through the process. So needless to say, it turned out to be a very good lesson for my child, and it continued to be something that I believe strongly in the fact that parents need to allow consequences in the lives of their children, warning them of the consequences, letting them know what's coming, but being the kind of parent that is able to step back, continuing to love the child in spite of the choices that they make while they make those choices, and then being available to help and to comfort afterwards. Now, it is a great lesson for my son, and it's something that I'd rather him learn when he's 7 than when he's 25 or 35 years old, because he will remember, and he will learn to make responsible choices. He will think about the consequences of his actions or his lack of actions. So I hope that you think through today's homework, basically, in this challenge, is that you sit down and think about a recent event in the life of your children where you could have acted a little bit different, where you could have let him have, or let her have her consequence, and how would that have reacted? Maybe it would have not been as good as our outcome, but nonetheless, the point is that we learn to live out of power, not out of force, and where we force our opinions and our choices on the life of our children. So I know that this is not a normal advice, and nonetheless, it's my own wisdom that I've gathered over years of parenting my children, and I hope that you take it with a grain of salt. Don't do anything that I say unless you consider it with your spouse, unless you evaluate the child that you have in front of you, unless you understand the heart and you're connecting on a heart-to-heart level with the child, and that you truly sit down and realize and meditate on what is the best choice for this child. But I know that many parents needed to understand this tip, and that you are going to, now that you have this one additional tool in your arsenal of parenting, you're going to apply it when you need it. So please share this video with a lot of other parents who might benefit from this. If you have something to add to the video that maybe I didn't share here, maybe a little bit of wisdom that could add to what I'm sharing here, absolutely put it in the comments below, and I will greatly appreciate it, because as you know, I'm just sharing from my heart and there may be things that I missed. So thanks so much for spending this time with me. I can't wait to share with you tomorrow on Wild Marriage Wednesday. And until tomorrow, again, this is Shirley Solis with ShirleySolis.com.